chilling kurje chomji nga chu hanyil bi tham khang tok chen changki thul ni nga chu jang go hong bi hel ta cha la than che at su chi ji to no bi na ka si se sang ni chu nyu se la
That's it. There's a winning yak. There's a winning yak.
Well, I made a smiling caterpillar because even though it's really small and no one might think much of it at the moment, it knows that one day it'll be a butterfly and it will be free.
Sub story. Sub story. Okay.
Oh, dear.
Okay. And what's your one?
Mine
You
is...
stand up.
Oh, sorry. Mine is a dove, which is an international symbol piece.
Oh, it is. And it's SFT symbol, so there you go.
Oh, that
on brand. Luke?
Yeah, mine is supposed to be like a thought bubble. You know, freedom is like being able to think.
So free speech and free thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Cool.
Mine's like a little person on top of the world.
Oh, wow.
So like people should be able to go and do whatever they want.
Okay, so free.
I'm Tibetan. I'm Safo.
Christina and Alvin Glasgow.
So mine's like a little smiley mouth because freedom makes you happy.
Okay, cool. And yours is not quite done. Yours is freedom of assembly because you're assembling it still.
Yeah, basically... Should I get up as well?
Yeah, go on.
It's still missing a leg, but basically I don't think freedom is necessarily just for one individual. I think we have to work in groups to achieve freedom. And yes, so I made 2 people holding hands, and as I said, one missing a leg. But
well, we don't want to discriminate, do we? Let's be honest. Okay, right. So to next year.
It's a flame.
Okay.
Torch of flame. And for me, I think freedom represents 2 things: freedom from fear and freedom from want. So I think this is to.
I'm Amy and I'm wearing a skirt.
I have lived in London.
I'm Lisa, and I'm wearing boots.
Wow. And you've got...
yeah, I made a sunshine because it kind of represents the Tibetan flag, and also I think the rising sun just seems to kind of represent like hope and optimism for the future, freedom.
Cool.
Mine is a pair of lips because I think that if you have a voice, then you can, then it's a sign of your freedom to think what you want to think and say what you want to say. So.
Cool.
I made bagpipes.
Bagpipes?
Because I think freedom's the right to express your own culture, and this symbolises Scottish culture to me.
Cool. Okay, nice. Okay. So individual culture is another thing about freedom. That's good.
I made a seed because I think that freedom kind of encompasses being able to grow on your own and in your own way. So.
Cool.
First of all, I think it's really important for everybody here to know about Tibet before they start the training here. So I'm just going to give introduction about Tibet and where it is, what happened to it, and what are problems they are facing right now. So Tibet is a country which has its own culture, currency, religion, and government and flag like any other country here. So, and it's the size of Western Europe. And it was a free country till 1949 when it was invaded by China.
If you do follow the Chinese path, like there's a great danger of losing your own culture because you don't really get to focus on your own language. So it's really like more or less a lose-lose situation.
Because of the Tibetan parents, they send their children in India, you know, like they have Inusana. Her parents sent her to India in TCB school to study. They know that they're not going to meet these children. Like, they don't have, they cannot see. Like if I come here, I can go and meet my parents in India. But people who have their parents in Tibet, they cannot predict their future. You know, like you cannot be saying like, oh, I'm going to meet them next year.
Why do you think we as a group push for independence as SFT UK? Why do you think independence is our goal? Because that's our goal. We don't
settle for anything less.
Sorry, speak up.
Because we don't want to settle for anything less.
We don't want anything less. Okay, so independence. So we don't want anything less than independence. And why do we not want anything less than independence?
Because that's what the Tibetans in Tibet are asking for.
Yeah, okay, so Tibetans in Tibet, this is a really important point. And this is central to what we are all about as SFT. Tibetans in Tibet. So it's quite easy to lose sight of what it's actually all about when you're doing your campaigns, when you're writing to MPs, when you're organising vigils and fundraisers, etc. It's quite easy to kind of get lost in that and to forget what you're actually doing it for. That's who we're doing it for, Tibetans in
Like
Tibet.
someone randomly self-immolating in the street in Scotland might be very different to in a situation of political unrest when people see violence every day. So
Context is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can do violence to yourself. I mean, if you shoot yourself, you hurt yourself. You can sort of violence
Shooting yourself is sort of like ending yourself, but burning yourself is trying to symbolize something. That's why you hope that what you do means something, and then even though it hurts, you just do it for the sake of like the one who did in the morning today. I wouldn't know what his intention is, but I presume that he wants to send some sort of message.
But the intention for all these actions are presumably the same. Sorry to interrupt. No. But it's again like what is more self-immolating is not signing a petition. It's more violent. It's setting yourself on fire.
It's a strong message, but it's a lot stronger message. But I wouldn't say it's more violent.
Can I? Yeah. I'm standing here because Tibetan's point of view, in Buddhist point of view, once Buddha himself gave to a tiger family, so kind of hungry tigers, so he just gave himself to the tiger family, the hungry family. So like in Buddhism, like trying to have the greater cause. It's like it's not violent, of course not, but in Western point of view, like harming yourself, of course it's violent. So that's why I'm more this side, because of the Tibetans, how they think, why they're self-immolating, and that's why I'm more non-violent, but a little bit from the.
So I gave the Chinese maybe more support the government view. They think about if you just burning yourself, that's okay. If it's burning yourself, organized by others, they become the violence. What is the problem for this?
So the organisation behind it has...
Yeah.
I stood on the non-violent side because if I take a philosophical stance on the issue, then I think the act itself is violence to self. Even if morally whether it's right or wrong, I think it would be dependent on individual views. But as an action, I think it's violence to self in some sense. But even then, if you try to define violence
absence of non-violent. The action doesn't mean the action is. I got the other way around. For example, if you say like in terms of peace, absence of war doesn't mean peace in itself. So violence can be also a structural problem in the society. For example, there can be violence without people doing nothing. It can be violent in that sense. So philosophically, I think the immolations are an act of violence itself. But morally, I think it's the right thing to do.
I think we're starting to get bogged down in the context of it, because everything, whether it's violent or non-violent, can be seen as justified or not. And I don't like self-immolations, but I understand why they're doing it. It's as a last act, it's a last stand to what they're going through. And it's not whether it's right or wrong, it's not whether it's justified, it's that it is violent. It's violent against themselves, and it's killing themselves. So it is in itself violent, but it doesn't mean that it's not justified.
I think it depends on how you.
If there's anybody else who wants to really speak, then.
I was just going to say, I think it depends on how you measure violence, because I understand what you're saying, but the reason why I'm standing here is because I feel that violence is, I measure it in terms of action and reaction. So to me, when I think of violence, I think of more than one person being involved, and there being some sort of initiation, and then that starts up a series of actions. But I feel like if you set yourself on fire, or if you throw a rock at a tank, you're doing one thing. And if that one thing doesn't set anything off, I don't believe that it's really violent. I think it's more internal. Like, I think a self-immolation is an internal thing that has no effect on anything else besides themselves physically. I mean, emotionally, I'm sure it does. But yeah, so that's why I stand here. I mean, justifiable or not, you know, that's another thing, but yeah.
And plus, I just feel like isn't violence like unwanted harm? Whereas if someone does take their own life, they've chose that path. So, I mean, it is obviously harming themselves. Like, there's no denying that. But maybe violence isn't exactly how I would term it, because I would see that as something like unwanted against someone or something. Whereas they've chosen that path. So.
Providing sort of sustainable needs, solutions to communities such as yours. So, what's your town called?
It's, I don't know, Idealsville.
Idealsville. Can you tell us a bit? Can you tell us a bit what's in your town?
Yeah, this is our central decision-making area. People come there to.
Democratic.
Yeah, we've got a nice river running through here, a lake, a nice school with a good outdoor place to grow food. Some jobs down here.
Jobs, yeah, we're big into jobs.
And we have a nice lake, we have a river, we have free Wi-Fi.
Oh, I like the hat.
This is our vegetable garden where we grow all our own
vegetables. Yeah.
Local little kind of community cooperative shop.
Okay.
This is where everybody lives.
Okay.
This is a play area for the children, and we have a meeting hall.
Yeah, show cameras, yellow.
Hi. So basically we're a very green and sustainable community. We have our own community garden, we get water resources and energy from the river flowing by.
Okay, you got 1 minute.
Great education system, beautiful school with a garden and sports grounds, theatre with a great arts programme, restaurant and popsicle stand, green space.
What you're looking at is you're actually looking at what the Tibetan people want, what the people want in that country, what they're entitled to in that country, and the last time that Tibetans were in a position to actually say this is the status of our country was in 1913 when they had the proclamation of independence. So it's coming up to 100 years next year since that time. And that was the last time that Tibetans were free and were able to say what the status of the nation was, and what they said was it's independent. So
and what we're going to do is spend the first few minutes, Lisa's going to take us through some opportunities and risks for university groups, particularly focusing around university groups, but this is applicable more widely. Things that you may have thought of or may not have thought of that could be both beneficial to your group and that could at the same time be a risk.
To do with Tibet. Your social activities. So we're talking about getting new members, taking them out, sort of being friends with your group, because that does help to solidify a group if you can be friendly with them. Your student union, again, we've spoken about that, but you can speak to the executive of the student union, so you can perhaps get extra levels that you can go to, so you can rent rooms perhaps in your student union, you can go and address the executive board if you chose to.
Your university, so we're not thinking national.
Is there a scale from very strong to not strong at all?
Yeah. Okay, so if you think you've got absolutely no profile, no one knows who you are.
I'm just going to be here the whole time.
That's good.
Come on, Ed, we're a bit better than that. Why do you think you're on that end then?
Because so few people know about us.
Okay. What do you think you could do to improve that?
Just more publicity.
Yeah. What kind of publicity?
Like history.
Yeah, and because it's strange because you're in the same society, but you're in the middle here, so...
Yeah, but I'm naive.
So in January, when you come back from Christmas, do a refresher week and encourage people to do it.
Are you allowed to have regular stores in campus?
Stalls? Yeah.
Because that's one thing that we did at Essex University. Well, I'm not so sure if it was effective, but it just showed people that we were there.
We want to push government for multilateral action. Can you guess what multilateral action could mean?
Lots of governments working together.
Yeah, loads of governments working together, but without China. That's basically it. We want world governments and leaders. We want to get them together to form a sort of contact group, we call it, where they can get together without China and discuss what they can do. And because such a space doesn't exist, and so we want to push.
So this guy likes to. His approach is he writes on big human rights like crises. So I wonder if the individual approach is.
Why this campaign is so crucial is also from a Tibetan point of view. You know, people always think, Buddhism, that's like the core of Tibetan culture, and if there's no Buddhism, then that's all we have. But actually, Buddhism was introduced to Tibet, and with Padmasambhava in around 800, right? After 800. But actually, Tibetan nomads have roamed the Tibetan plateau for close to 8,000 years. So, before Tibetans became Buddhists, Tibetans were all nomads. And I think also the way in which, for example, Tibetan Buddhism has been absorbed in Tibetan society, definitely the nomadic culture plays into it, and I think it's a very fundamental core of our culture. And in a few years' time, if we look at the sort of resettlement rates and what the Chinese government is saying, how many nomads they're planning to resettle here in those areas, it might be well possible that in a few years' time there will be no nomads at all, and that will actually be the death of Tibetan culture at its core.
Talk about the fourth section. It's basically very important that you understand what is a Chinese ecosystem can work, what is weakness you can make your reaction and resistance. So go through. And in current political system, you can look all the party leadership change. Also, they try to get this position. All the position you can look, they give the directly leader the lower level. The chairman of the Communist Party of Central Military Commission hold the superpower. That is why the functional struggle in party, they try to hold this power and claim the power in voice from the Tibetan and other nationalities. Now gave the very clear message to respect and support the right of Tibetan and other minority people's self-determination rights. So that the Chapter 8 maybe they gave the solution in future. They use the federal system, a reference from the US model or not Canada model. If you talk about federal, the different model, Switzerland, Canada, and the US, but even that way, they not very clear image how the Chinese people, Chinese human rights defender, whether they support for example, Tibetan self-determination.
So the ultimate goal of our campaign is for the Chinese government to address the political situations inside Tibet genuinely. And our overall strategy is to generate major increase on pressure on China through a multilateral action in UN forum or through a multilateral action forum. So we have our objective. Our primary target would be the party secretary of Tibet, who is responsible for policies inside Tibet. That's our primary target, and in order to reach our primary target, we are looking at what are the different layers we need to cross before we reach him. So in that case would be party secretary going beyond the department dealing with Tibet, beyond the CCP overall structure. So that's like the immediate circle.
63 years ago, the Communist Party used violence, invasion, and occupation to get the power and states. Both people and the Republic are empty rhetorical in name of the People's Republic of China. In the PRC, party state system, the Communist Party hold the monopoly power. There is neither rule of law, no.
The center of the self-immolations as a war zone, just like Northern Ireland, at the height of the conflict. Except in the case for Tibet, it's only the Chinese side that is using violence against an unarmed, non-violent people. But you cannot stop Tibetans from self-immolating, and you cannot stop Tibetans from resisting neither by beating them, threatening them, and by refusing to show any recognition or sign that they are willing to address the fundamental issues for freedom. But China's leadership is showing its weakness and inability to control Tibetans. They appear desperate even as they inflict so much suffering on the Tibetan people. Tibetans recognize there is no room for retreat at this moment. To stop resisting would mean a death sentence to Tibet, and as heartbreaking as each act of self-immolation is, it has brought increased unity within Tibet, and you can see whole communities coming together to pay their respects and to honor the spirit in which these protests were taken at the funerals, and for freedom and for the greater well-being of all Tibetans. So the responsibility really lies with the global community to stand with Tibetans at this critical time and support their non-violent resistance. And change in Tibet will not come from new leaders in China. It will not come from Xi Jinping, the new paramount leader of China. The change is already happening in Tibet, and the only change that is coming is from Tibetans themselves. Thank you.
China has an export-based economy, and its biggest trading partner is the European Union. Who does the European Union listen to?
Member States.
Member States. Come up and be an EU member state. So you could be the UK. There you go, the UK brackets. So do you want to So the member states, when we're talking about the member states, we're talking about their government, right? They're represented by the government. So in the UK, the coalition government at the moment. Who does the government listen to? See? MPs, did someone say? You said that. You're already the CCP. But MPs, yeah, the government legally listens to MPs. Did someone say that at the back as well? Oh, do you want to come up and be an MP? So the government legally listens to its MPs. That's the way our political system is set up. The MP's job is to scrutinise the government, to hold them to account, and the government has a whole series of legal obligations. So when, for example, the Foreign Affairs Select Committee in Parliament writes a report, the government has to respond to that report. When an MP writes a letter to the Foreign Secretary has to reply, and even while it'll generally be his advisors who actually write the reply, if there's a letter coming directly from an MP to the Foreign Secretary, the final sign-off has to be from the Foreign Secretary himself, so it has to be right from the government's heart. Who do the MPs listen to? Constituents, which includes SFT, because they want your vote. So you've got the CCP is listening to its trading partners. Trading partners are listening to the member states. Member states are held to account by MPs, who in turn are held to account by their voters, which includes SFT members and everyone in this room. So now you see how, from being this insignificant player to the CCP, and going directly to the CCP wouldn't carry a lot of weight. If we lobby and we go up this way and convince enough MPs to influence our government, convince enough governments to start influencing the regional bloc and their relationships with China, then we can actually have some impact on the CCP.
We'd actually spent quite a lot of time training, like in the lead up to that, training other people and trying to do these skills, because there were so many Tibetans who wanted to be there, wanted to go to Beijing and take action, but anyone with a Tibetan name just basically got denied visas during the lead up to the Olympics. So when you see lots of Western faces there, it's not because nobody else wanted to be there, it's because we could get visas. I was in a privileged position to be able to get a visa, to have the training, to have the support, to be able to take that action. Yeah, I was detained. We were, as I said before, deported very quickly, but the story ran on every national newspaper in the UK, front page, was across all the news networks for a good 24 hours, and we got the message out there. You heard an interview with me where it shows you the importance of knowing your message, whereas the first thing I said wasn't right. And then I went on to say lots of really good things, but the first thing I said wasn't quite on message, which was, yeah, they asked me, are you the gentleman that's climbed the pole, which wasn't really the sort of thing that I'd expected. So yeah, you've got to just ignore the first question, fire it straight into your message, but I didn't quite do that, but it then went on for a good 5 minutes and we got lots of good messages out. But I was on the mobile phone while hanging up there, and people the media just loved it.
What's going on here?
Obama, we meet again.
Hello, who? You look awfully sick today.
Well, it's because this freaking leadership change. It's time to chew you to Jenga.
That sucks that your leadership changed. Hope you're going to be playing a lot of Jenga.
Yes. Jenga de-stresses my mind, so.
Sure it does.
So this is the Non-Violent Direct Action Workshop. Scouting, yes. Does somebody want to explain what scouting is? Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah. So it's just exploring, going there beforehand, working out what you can do, whether it's possible.
Yeah. And what you might also do is go at the same time as when you're planning to do the protest to see what the area is like, you know.
You're not being aggressive, you're just staying still, you're not actively pushing people away, but you're just not moving.
That's right, that's right. So, we're going to try break off into groups of 5 and in a sec. and practice a bit of moving and handling. So there will be 4 police to 1 protester. And the protester, you're going to sit on the ground, and first time, and you're going to be moved by the 4 police. So if anyone feels uncomfortable with this, feel free to sit aside, but...
I'm going to really beat you! Okay, Max is holding up very well. I'm back! I've been held off by my leg. I'm back!
We can take you for lemonade at the station if you want, but we're not going to have any lemonade here. This lady wants to go to work. I'm sorry, but
I'm sorry. Please, are you aware of what's going on in Tibet? Can I ask you to look at the screen,
I'm sorry, this is not Tibet. These people are in the way. This lady wants to go to work. We're going to remove these people. Sorry, that's just what's going to happen.
I'm sorry.
You're all going to be arrested. Sorry.
Could we have a
Sorry, you're all under arrest.
Do what you guys did, but you said like this.
This is like a Thank you.